joining Dipaunka Macrides, who is a herbalist. Dipaunka is going to show us how to make an edible oil with herbs. Good morning, Dipaunka.
Okay. Yeah, so today we're doing a herbal oil. It can either be used straight on the salads, in salads, or you can use it for cooking. So depending on the herbs that you use, will depend on how you use it or where you use it. The advantage of doing these oils is that you're extracting the herbs into the oil, and you can either leave the herbs in the oil or you can take them out if you want to. It just depends on what you're using it for. Today what I'm doing is, I guess it's a little bit to do with the heart and circulation and digestion. So what I'm using is fresh rosemary, fresh basil, fresh garlic, and some rose petals.
Oh, that's unusual.
Yeah, well, most people already wouldn't think of using rose petals in cooking, but rose petals are actually very high in vitamin C and also really good for your heart.
Oh.
Okay. They make a really nice jam as well, but we won't be doing that right now. So yeah, it's very simple. Put the herbs into your jar, cover it with oil. I'm using olive oil and a little bit of grapeseed oil to make it a little bit lighter for salads. Normally if I was using it for cooking, I would just use the olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm using both oils today. Generally leave it for about 2, maybe 3 weeks. The only thing that you've got to remember if you're using fresh herbs is you've got to make sure they're totally covered by the oil, because if you don't, what will happen is the moisture in the herbs will start to create a fungus, and so you'll end up with a not so pleasant oil, and you'll have to you'll start a little civilization in there, which you don't really want. Because it gets pretty crunchy, and that means you've wasted your oil. So you've got to actually make sure that they're completely submerged in the oil. What you can do, if you want to ensure that, is you can actually put a rock or even a crystal, if you wanted to, on top to weight them down so that they actually stay under the oil. So what I'm going to do is put the rose petals in first, because they're the lightest, and we want them on the bottom so that they actually get saturated with the oil.
Dipaunka, are they fresh rose petals or are they dry?
I'm using dried rose petals today, but you can use fresh ones if you want. These just happen to be off one of my bushes out there, and I needed to dry them up so that they weren't too moist, but if you wanted to use fresh you can. Okay, so I'm going to put them on the bottom first so that they get submerged and so that they get saturated, because otherwise they'll just float on the top. I haven't got a lot of oil to use, so I'm not going to put too much in here.
What are we putting in now?
We're putting rosemary in now, fresh rosemary. I just picked this morning. Depending on how much flavour you want to get out. If you know your herbs well, then you'll know how much of each herb to put in there, because you'll know what flavour you want to get out. So if you don't want it to be too strong in the rosemary, obviously don't put too much in. Depending on how much garlic you want to use. I mean, I like a lot of garlic, so I'm going to put a lot of garlic in there. And very easy, you don't need to use any knives or scissors for this. It's quite simple. With the basil, try not too many stalks in there, but basil's.
That smells magnificent.
This is one of my favourite basils. I just love this basil. But, easy to grow. If you wanted to grow some, you can actually just take a bit and stick in a glass of water and it'll root. Now the garlic, it's a little bit more tricky, but
Smells beautiful. Big chunks of garlic.
Big chunks of garlic, yeah. Lots of flavour in there. Unfortunately, this is not from my garden because my garlic's not ready yet. But if you can use fresh garlic from the garden straight out of the ground, that's good. There's a little saying in my house: you can never use too much. You can never have too much garlic. Now the oil. This is extra virgin olive oil. That's the best oil to use for extracting. I've done a lot of experimenting over the years with different oils, and olive oil just seems to have much better drawing qualities. Okay, so it's just.
And the extra virgin, that just indicates the first or second or third pressing of the olives.
The extra virgin is the first pressing, yeah.
Right.
I mean, how you can get an extra virgin, I'm not sure, but for all those extra virgins out there, it's good. Okay, so it's as you can see, with the garlic and the basil on top, it's kept all the other herbs underneath. And I probably won't, just need to use a little bit of grapeseed oil on top of that, and I can probably top up that with a little bit more herb if I wanted to, but that's probably pretty close to the mark.
So the amount of herbs that you've put in today, is that going to make a strong
They will make
oil?
quite a strong oil, yeah. And with these oils, again, you can design them to suit any particular purpose that you want in terms of a medical purpose, if you know what the properties of the herbs are. And they also make really nice gifts. Like you can, obviously if you had a really nice looking jar, you can put it into the jar, present that to someone as a gift, or if you wanted to, if you've got a friend or a relative who's got a particular condition that you know will be benefited from these particular herbs, you can give it to them as a gift, and then they'll be able to use it in their cooking on their salads. And it's again not like taking medicine, so it's a way of doing it so that people are taking medicine without taking medicine. So it's like the Clayton's medicine in a way. I don't think I'll add any more herbs into that because that's enough, and we're going to shake that up and let it sit again in the pantry. And you can also make a number of different oils on the same day. So if you had like a very large amount of olive oil, you could do 2 or 3, 4, 5 different types of oils with different herbs, and if you've got the herbs then. Fresh herbs are better when you're doing these sorts of things because you get more flavour out of them. If they've been dried, they may have been sitting there for a long time, so you don't have the same amount of flavour in them. So pretty easy, and we'll just make sure that they stay underneath the oil. I may need to just top that up right up to the top so the oil is completely covering all the herbs, but you can see
and you can see how it would make a beautiful present too, because it's just so visually pleasing.
well, yeah, just all the different colours, and I mean,
It just looks beautiful.
if it was a better looking jar, it would look really nice. You can get some really nice jars from some of the bottle places these days. I mean, there's a lot of boutique sort of glassware out there. So I'm just going to top that up to make sure that the herbs are actually covered.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't get any fungal growth and any little critters talking to us in the morning. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty easy.
How simple was that?